Hello everyone. Good day to all. Good day, bonjour, ça va? Welcome to another Cacoa. Oh my God. Um, it's been like a couple of weeks, right? It's been a few weeks. And I think I did a few shows in October, the earlier part of October, and then I had to travel. So the latter part of October, there were no shows, but we're back. And I'm so happy to be back here with you guys. I am so grateful for the opportunity. First of all, thankful for life. And I get to be back on with you, to share more experiences, to share more stories, to feature more wonderful Caribbean people. And it's a privilege. It's always a privilege. I feel a little bit nervous. I don't even know why, because I am never nervous for my podcast. So I don't know why the nerves is a sudden burst of nerves. But I am glad to be here. And I hope that you are happy to be here as well. We have an interesting guest on with us, a Caribbean woman. Somebody said to me, Jael, why don't you just make that show all about women? Because you seem to have a lot of women in the show. And honestly, left to me, I probably would do just that. But I like to feature Caribbean people, whether they're men and women. And it just so happened that I connect more frequently with women than with men in the sense of getting the, guests for the show and whatever. And I will keep promoting them, keep promoting women. I'm not trying to be like segregate male or female. That's not the plan. But if you have suggestions, I always welcome them. Uh, Constructive criticism, suggestions on guests. If you have guests, I want to shout out Curvel. Curvel in Dominica, who works for CARICOM, who's always suggesting all of these amazing people, and she's connecting me with all of these people. So big up to you, Curvel, who's locked in. Guys, when you come on, let me know where you're on from, where you're locked in from, where you're hailing from, where you're representing, because some of you might be from places or in places, but not necessarily representing there. So just let me know where you're locked in from, and I will give you a shout. I always, again, I'm coming back to saying, I always welcome suggestions for the show. The show, it's in its third season, growing. And one of the things that I'm absolutely grateful for is the fact that this program is streamed on digital platforms worldwide. So I am so grateful for this. 30 countries get to see this program every single time it airs. So I want to big up, first of all, Fabio and the entire digital team, the digital team out there in St. Lucia, and big up to my digital family in Dominica. Thank you so very much for the opportunity. Nikima, the CEO of Digital Dominica, is doing big things. Go follow her on Instagram. You'll get to see all of the awesome things. I think her Instagram is Nikki CEO. So go follow her. She just recently was on a panel with Bill Clinton. And I mean, she's an amazing woman doing amazing things. You see, then again, here I go singling out women again. Sorry. I know. Sorry. It's just become part of me. But I'm so happy, guys, to be back on with you. And today I have a woman who is a researcher. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's done quite a number of films. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of her projects that she's been part of, she's been doing. And we're going to have a good time. I'm excited, and I hope you too are excited. So we're going to have Zephrine. She's going to be joining us. She's actually in the lobby. I just want to make sure that my comment section is working. So if you guys can, anybody who's locked in, just send me a message. Let me know that you are there, you're representing, you can't wait for the show. Just send me a message. And don't forget, my people, to share the link. Like, I feel like every single time I have to be like big, to share the link. Just go ahead and hit that share button and share the link so that somebody else can get in on the conversation, get in on the show. Okay, so I think my comment section is working. I think I see someone. Someone just shared the video. So thank you for sharing the video. yeah. So as I said to you before, I was off for a little bit. The last weeks or a couple of weeks, I spent some of it in Dominica. Got to do some interesting things, including host the World Crown Music Festival, where I met one of I've loved this woman, I swear forever. I met Princess Lover. And let me tell you, this was such an experience because honestly, you know when you see stars and you see people that you follow, celebrities, and you think, they must be so stush, they must be so stuck up, and she came to speak to me backstage, and she was so warm, she was so, and her English is so on point, and she was like, we were speaking, and next thing you know, we're following each other on Instagram and talking on Instagram. I'm like, oh my god, I'm talking to Princess Lola, she's awesome. Hopefully I can get her on the podcast sometime soon. We'll see about that. In negotiations, her management, and I'm just talking shit. But yeah. So it was a really amazing opportunity. So big up to the folks, Dominica Festivals Commission, big up to Marva Williams. Marva Williams is probably one of the most amazing women in Dominica. Any of you who are locked in and you know Marva, you'll probably be able to attest to that. And I just want to speak directly to her and say thank you very much again for the opportunity. It wasn't my first rodeo at the World Crown Music Festival, but I appreciate the fact that she reached out to me months in advance, and said, Jael, we want you on. We were interested. And, I really must commend her on putting on such an amazing show. So many wonderful artists. There'll always be stuff that happen in show business, things that will happen that you're probably not happy about. But she did an awesome job, and I want to just commend her from my heart to her heart. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for giving Dominica a really, really incredible World Korean Music Festival 2019. Hi, Joyce. How are you, Joyce? I heard you're going to be a grandma soon. Congratulations to you. Hadley is locked in. Hadley, where are you locked in from? I think you're somewhere in the States. Not 100% sure where you're from. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We're going to get straight into the show. It's 7 minutes after the hour, and I want to introduce you to my guest. Before I introduce you to my guest, I want to let you know a little bit about how I met my guest. I don't know, I seem to have all of these interesting stories. We actually share a mutual friend, and I remember the person telling me a little bit about my guest, and I was like, oh, nice, and whatever. And that person, she happened to be picking her up. That's my guest who's coming on. And I was sitting in the front, and she comes in, and, she's like, I go, hi. And she says, oh, hi. I'm like, I'm Jael. She goes, oh, nice to meet you. And then we start talking, and then I'm like, oh, I'm from Baker. She goes, wait, so you must be my family? Right? And we instantly connected. And then, I got to speak a little bit to her, and she started telling me about things that she was doing. She was actually visiting Dominica at the time, and I was like, you know what, I would love to have you on my podcast sometime. And she goes, yeah, man, give me your contact. So we exchange our contact information, and she scheduled once I sent her the link, she scheduled the podcast, and things just got rolling really quickly. She is a woman after my own heart, because one, she's Dominican to the bone. When you meet women, we have a lot of women outside of Dominica doing really, really amazing things. Like I don't even think we even understand just what we have out there, right? And I just want to let if you're listening right now, if you're viewing right now, and you know a woman in Dominica who's doing really good things, make sure you constantly, pay homage to her, and and uplift her, and encourage her, because we have so many women outside, and some of them probably will never return to Dominica for whatever reason, because they probably have a lot more opportunities where they are, or whatever the case might be. But she is one of these women. And when you guys will hear a little bit about her, you understand exactly what I say, what I'm saying, or what I mean when I say that we have some pretty damn amazing women outside of Dominica. No offense to the rest of the Caribbean. You know, the Caribbean, I know the Caribbean is locked in. 30 countries are locked in across the world, including Papua New Guinea and, you know, all of the different places where Digicel is. But I just want them to know we have some real good bread come out of Dominica, right? And she is one of those. And I just want you guys to really show appreciation to the women who are there now who are doing things. You know, all of the people in the media, all of the women who are doing, the women business owners who are doing really amazing things. Make sure you give them a little compliment now and again. Tell them, you know, you're doing good things, you know, and really comment them, because I think we need to start appreciating what we have before we appreciate other things, like things from the outside. And that is why I'm so happy to have this woman on here with me today. And without no further ado, I just want to welcome my guest on with us. Hi, Rosalie. How are you? How are you guys doing? Yes, we do. Yes, Hadley. Hadley is in North Carolina. Big up to you. I want to welcome my guest, Miss Zephrine Roy, to Cacoa. Hi, Zephrine.
Hi, Jael.
Why are you laughing?
Quite an introduction. Oh my God.
What? I did something like
smiling. I was like, whoa.
Well,
thank you. It's really nice to be on with you.
It's nice to have you on. And you know, you're a Dominican woman, Dominican by birth, you know, and I really want I think we just need to start appreciating what we have. Sometimes I feel like I'm not appreciated. And I know it's the worst feeling ever, because I have firsthand, you know, knowledge as to how that feels. So I like to I like to do what I would like done for me, you know, and I think you're an amazing woman. You've so accomplished more than people. People probably look at you and say, you're this black girl with natural hair. You know, they just think you're regular schmegular, but you're not. So I just want to let the whole world know, you know, that we have no regular schmegular girls from Dominica, especially not. Let it be known.
I did not. I never thought that. One day I would be on a podcast, on a Dominican podcast with a Dominican woman. Like, I think it's really amazing. I think it's amazing, like, what you're doing for Dominica as a whole and for the Caribbean. I think it's wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to have you here with me on Cacoa. And I hope that whatever we discuss here today would inspire some other young person will be inspired, because that's what this show is about. It's about telling your story with hopes that you can touch a life, you can inspire someone, and you can motivate someone to not just be better, but be a better version of themselves. So that's what we hope that we can accomplish every single show. Zephrine, thank you again for the opportunity. I know you are a super busy person, and for you to take the time out of your schedule, because being in the line of work that you're in, it's very roller coaster like, because there's a lot of stuff always happening.
Yes.
And the fact that you could book in advance and take time out of your schedule to actually be here to speak with me, I really appreciate it. And I just want to get straight into things, not waste no time. Did you get your faculty?
Yes.
What is your faculty?
I says nothing, but it's a special mug. It was given to my grandmother from Margaret. So this is like my favorite ever mug. So whenever I hold it in my drink, you know, there's something.
Oh, that's
a warm feeling. I always think of my mom when I drink this.
Oh, that's
the place where I drank a lot of Cacoa. So, like, when I chose this one, I'm like, oh yes, this is the mug for Cacoa.
This is the mug. This is the mug. We have a piece of Dominica, not just in us being Dominicans, but you know, a little piece of your mom, your grandma with you. We have a little piece of your grandma with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to get straight into it. I always ask this question to start every show. Probably people think I ask the same question every single time, but it's a question that I feel is um, I prefer to be answered by my guests, and I don't like people to assume anything. And it is, who are you? When the world sees you, who is it that you want them to see? Who is that person?
Oh wow. Zephrine is a storyteller. This is, I think this is the most, this is what I think defines me. I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller from Dominica. Right now, I'm a researcher and filmmaker, and I think it's something that just flows like one into the other. But storytelling, that's what I would, yes.
Okay, so you were born in, you don't live in Dominica right now. Where
No.
exactly are you now?
Right now, I live in Martinique, but I was born in Dominica, grew up in Dominica, actually grew up in Margaret. Uh, Went to Concord Primary School, St. Andrews High School, the best. And I moved to Martinique to go to university. So I was already like 20 years when I moved to, I was an adult when I moved to Martinique.
Wow.
I grew up, you know,
Tell us a little,
my childhood in Dominica, yeah.
tell us a little bit about growing up in Margaret in Dominica.
Oh, that was the bomb. That was the best. Um, I grew up in North End, and like it was like the best place to grow up, man. Like we were on a hillside. At the bottom of the hillside is Baystor with the sea. There's the river right there. At our backs we had the mountains. So we had like a playground that was just never ending. And we would spend our time climbing trees. Um, Somebody called us a scavenger, like scavengers once, because we would go look for fruits in people's gardens, and we just spent our time climbing trees, being wild in the bush, going to the river, cooking pot by the river. That's something that I think all Dominicans can relate to. That was my childhood. Like honestly, I don't have so many memories of being inside of a house. Memories of being in a house to sleep.
Wow,
Really.
you spent a lot of time
A
outside.
lot of time outside, yes.
What was some of your, probably your, you mentioned some of the things that you did, but what was some of the memories that you have that you feel impacted your life the most?
Storytelling. Um, some of my most, like my strongest and most powerful memories are memories of telling stories by moonlight on the neighbor's steps. And you would always have somebody who would come with a super weird story. Um,
I know.
Yeah. This person was walking through the village and they meet a dog and the dog didn't want to let them pass, or they had to beat it with a stick, or something with a coffin, or somebody had a baby crying somewhere. And then at that time, our bathroom was outside. When the story would be over, my mother would say, "Go and wash all yourself before you go to bed."
Gosh, so
Yes. I had like this environment that was really like people told stories a lot. And I think as Dominicans are very good storytellers. Like I don't know, we're bathed in this culture of storytelling. And those are my best memories. You know, I grew up telling stories too. Like I would write stories all the time. Yeah.
it's so crazy you'd say that because um, my best moments with my mom before she passed, as a child, was her telling us stories about her growing up in Laho, and
Oh, those are the best
her
stories.
grandmother telling her about the larger blessing the bush,
Yes.
and the lady with all the clothes that would come on her. And I used to just bask in all of her stories and everything. The difference is that I was never scared. it was I was
You wanna scared of like the dark, like afterwards, like when you be walking on the road. Where did you grow up?
I was never scared. You know why I was never scared? I grew up next to a cemetery.
Oh.
So my mother always would tell us these stories, but she always said, "But look at the cemetery, like it's right there. Like nothing happens there. Nothing's gonna happen to you guys." I would walk past the cemetery in the pitch black, dark of night, to go to the shop if my mother run out of salt. Or I remember like bouncing into people, and I up to this day I don't know who I bounced into. Yes, I know.
Ah, uh-uh.
I used to
Oh
love
no.
I used to love it when the lights would go and we're in the darkness. I don't know. I always love the dark. I don't know why.
I love the dark too because there's an element of like mystery and just like being by candlelight. There's something that's so warm and intimate and like everybody's together. And but the outside world is like another thing. Like when you have to go and get something from the neighbors, you have no street lights, no nothing, and you see like bushes moving in the darkness, and then they will tell you that what do you call them? Label. The label. They would say label is sukuya.
I
They
know.
would, when you see like a big label is a sukuya.
Yo,
And then
you
you
know,
never
you,
see you like walk into somebody's house or something and like you see like this big label coming like straight at you.
you say that, right? I remember stepping on a label once. And I swear that was what had caused my foot to start hurting me.
Oh, so maybe you were scared of the dark, but there was something.
I think it was a label. That label did it for me. But I was never scared of the dark. But I can appreciate because, I'm sure people who are looking at this right now who grew up those times can appreciate that because nowadays you don't find kids can actually talk about these kinds of stories because
Yeah.
I don't know if their parents have not passed it on to them or kids are so engrossed in TV, in North American life and all of these things that they completely forget about that. But it's good to know that you had such a rich childhood that kind of like helped you get to where you are. Who did you look up to as a child?
I don't know. I think the person that I look up to that I looked up to was somebody that I grew up with she was only 1 year older than me and we grew up like sisters. Her name was Sylvie. And I think like growing up, she was sort of like a hero figure for me because she was always very strong. She was like a tomboy. And like I couldn't climb trees very well. I was a scaredy cat. So the scared of the dark thing, I think it just goes with I was a scaredy cat. So she would swim and jump from rocks and she would climb trees. Like she would grab a branch and just climb the tree, like by the branch and not by the trunk. We had like a really, really tall apricot tree on our land and it was forbidden to climb the apricot tree.
Because you make so.
No, because you would fall and like if you fell from that height, you would die. And she would climb the apricot tree. And like when my mom would call, she would call from like way up. And I would answer on the ground, but I would like project my voice. So that she would think that it was Sylvie calling answering because she would always call Sylvie. She wouldn't call me because she knew I wasn't getting in any trouble. But Sylvie. So I think she was the person who was like always like pushing me. So
I know Sylvie from Married, but I hope it's not the same person.
Maybe I don't know if there's that many Sylvies from Married, but she went to St. Andrews also.
Oh, does she happen to live in Canada?
Not in Canada, but not too far.
Okay. Because I know Sylvie from Married, but lives in Canada.
No.
I was like, oh my God, I hope it's not that Sylvie. We'll talk about that here.
Yes.
It might be that Sylvie. Oh my God.
I think that was the person that I looked up to because for me, like, she was strong.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you had this friend who was a superhero in your eye, who was like your own local superhero, femme fatale, Wonder Woman.
She's actually family, you know. She was my, well, she's still alive. She's my aunt, but she was only 1 year older than me. So we grew up together, so we were very close. So this was the person who was like always there. She was the person who always had the ideas. And like she'd be like, let's do that. And I'd be like, okay. So my mom, she would call us the battery and the robot, because she'd be like, she always has like the ideas, and I'll be like, okay,
Let's
and
do
what
it.
do, yes, like really crazy, stupid things.
Okay, so you go to St. Andrews High School. You decide now to move to Martinique. Now, why did you decide on Martinique?
Let me see what motivated this choice at the time. Right. I went to St. Andrews. I had a really good French teacher. Her name was Carol Valmont. Very good French teacher. And I remember her speaking French, and I was like, oh, wow, I need to speak French like that. So I think I really liked French. And when I went to college, I did French. So I did like French and sociology. And then I had the opportunity to go to Cuba, to go to Russia. I was like, it's too cold. I could go to Guadeloupe or Martinique. And for some reason, I don't know why Martinique just appealed to me. I've never been there before. And just by a strange, how would I say that now? Some people might call it coincidence, and I think it happened because it had to happen. I came to Martinique. I can like explain the circumstances under which I came to Martinique, which were pretty how would I say that? I did not expect it to happen like that. Let's say it like that.
You want to share with us?
Sure. So I had applied to university, and I had no idea of how I was going to pay for the university, pay for rent, like nothing. I just applied, like good faith. I'm like, I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to apply because I need to go to university, etc. And I was at a friend's house, and he had gone to the market, and he came back and he said to me, "Guess what? I know how you can go to Martinique. I just in the market who's from Martinique on just for weekend, just for 2 days, and they're looking for a fee for au pair. So an au pair is somebody who lives with a family in a foreign country. They usually like take classes or do some form of schooling, and they take care of the person's kids while speaking like the foreign language. So I go to see the person, and that's how I got to Martinique.
Wow.
So I was like, yes, it was like just a strange, because like literally I had no idea, absolutely zero idea of like how I was going to get a ticket to go to Manding, and like what would happen from there, like no idea. And then it was maybe like a month before like school opened. Like this year was not on my plan, So a month before school opened, I meet this person, and we're like, okay, let's go. It happened that the day that she was doing not auditions, the interviews, it was raining a lot. It was like pouring rain, and there were very few people who showed up. So she was like, "Do you want the job?" I was like, "Yeah."
Wow. Okay. Before we get, I want to get to Martinique, but before we do, I just want to acknowledge some of the folks who are coming on. We have Jean-Marie Royer. Hi, locked in from Guyana. We have Rihanna Patterson, who's locked in from the UK. Natty Bella is saying hi. Hatile Hilton is saying they love your hair. I'm guessing it's your hair. It can't be mine because I have braids. There's nothing special about braids. Jean-Marie specifically is asking a question, and I mentioned it before, and I just want to get back to it a little bit, that you do have a connection with Vegas. Can you clear the air on your connection with Vegas?
Okay, so my grandmother with whom I grew up is from Vegas, so that's the Royer family. And my father is also from Vegas. For people who might know, Francis Royer from Vegas is my grandfather. So if you know Michael Royer, that's my family. He's my uncle, my aunt. So yes.
Wow.
That's the Vegas side of the story. Yes.
So that's the Vegas side, okay? So I hope you're happy with the answer. Moving fast ahead, getting into, okay, so you're now in Martinique, or you decide now to take on this role and go to Martinique. how did you decide on what you were going to study? Or was it something because you studied French and sociology that you were just going to go into something that had to do with that?
Jael. um, the beginning of my study started off a bit of like, I'm not even sure how to explain it. What I thought it was, it turned out not to be that at all, but it turned out to be the perfect thing in the end. So when I signed up, I wanted it to be French. And so I signed up, fill out papers, whatever, I'm going to do French. And when I got here, it turned out that I was signed up for Lettres Modernes, which is like modern French literature. It was not the French classes I was expecting at all. It's literature classes for like French students here who've like done literature in high school, etc. And like I was like just drowning, like way over my, everything was like way over my head. I wasn't understanding anything people were saying. I was like, this is a mess. And then it turned out it was just perfect. So
how did you overcome that? Because
I would have.
It's kind of sort of a mistake, right? Like you felt.
Yeah.
How did you actually overcome that? Because anybody else, number one, you have so many things against you. You have the language barrier, and not actually signing up for what you expected that would have probably helped you to get to that point. You were just thrust into that, the lit modial, whatever you call it, right? What did you do to overcome?
I figured that it would help me go faster, actually. Like, it was really, really hard. Like, the passing grade is like 10 on 20, and I was like 4, 3, 2. It was like ridiculous, like when I started. But I figured, like, if you can hang on long enough, you're going to go faster. Like, faster than if you'd taken any French class before, like, other French class. So what I did was, like, I studied like I'd never studied in my life. Like, I would go to the library, I bought books on, like, writing French essays because the style is also different. And that was something that really threw me. In English, it's, we're very pragmatic, and the way of structuring sentences is different. The way of writing an essay is quite different, even commenting, text commentary and stuff like that. In French, it's quite long-winded, and so I did that. And there was one teacher who, I think he saw that some of the English students and some of the students were struggling, and he said, you can come in on Saturday mornings. And for this particular class, we had a lot of essays to do, and the essays it's 4 hours. Every time you have to write an essay, you have to sit down. They give you a 4-hour time slot to do it. So he said you can come in on Saturday mornings. You practice. I give you an essay question, and you're going to write for 4 hours, and I correct it. And I did that. We would go to his office. There were probably like maybe out of 300 students, about like three people who took him up on the offer. So I would go to his office with a couple of other students, and I would write very badly. Very, very badly. Oh my God, it was awful. But by the end of the first year, like, first semester rolled around, failing, I had to repass some exams. And second semester, like, I started gaining speed, and then by the second year, I was like, okay, I got this.
All right. So you decide to go into becoming an educator. Why did you choose that field? Besides the fact that you were forced into it somewhat, thrust into it through university. Why that? Because you could have said, okay, I'm just going to get the university degree and I'm going to go work as a banker.
Mm-hmm. That would never happen. I actually started teaching when I was in Dominica. So when I finished college, I did 1 year of teaching at St. Andrews High School. And I was thrown because I liked teaching, because I think just from my high school, I liked like explaining things to like my classmates. And there was something, I had very good teachers too. I had really good teachers from St. Andrews and from primary school. So I think I was always very strongly impacted by my teachers. And I think I wanted to, give back in that way. But when I went to teach, I was like, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Like, this job is hard. Tell me if I'm still here, Jael, because I cannot see you anymore.
I got disconnected.
Am I still here?
You see me?
I'm not hearing you, actually.
I'm here.
I think we have like a little. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Everything is perfect.
We might have
so I think when I started teaching, like, it was a mess for me because I realized like this job is a tough job, and I was like, okay, you need training, you need to do something like, to become qualified. So I was going to do French, I was going to come back and teach, etc. And so when I went to university, I still had in mind that I wanted to do something in this field, and eventually I wanted to switch to psychology, and I ended up moving towards educational science, and that's what I specialized in, like, through my bachelor's, master's, and PhD.
Wait, so let's don't go so fast now. You're moving fast. You actually, so most people might not even understand. You've actually gone the full length, and you have a PhD in education.
Yes. In bilingual, yes, my specialty is bilingual education.
Why did you decide to go throughout? Because I'll let you know, a lot of people start their bachelor's in one thing, then they do a master's in something else, and probably after the master's they decide, okay, I'll do the PhD. But why did you decide to stick it out, and that was what you were truly passionate about, and you were going to go the full extent of it?
I think what happened was, for some reason, even at some point when I thought, maybe I can do something else, I was always like, something always happened to sort of like redirect me towards education. And it happened that I started doing English workshops for little kids. These were like really little kids. It started at 15 months to like 5 years. And at the time, I was scared, shitless, like, because I'd never taught to like little kids. So it was a really just, unknown terrain for me. And I went from like being sort of like scared of the little kids and not knowing what to expect or how to do anything to absolutely loving it. More than high school, more than junior high, more than senior high, more than adult education. I just loved working with the little kids. And so eventually I like created like programs, like bilingual programs for the preschool where I was working. And I put in place like these workshops that would run like the full year. And then I started experimenting different like bilingual teaching approaches with the kids. And I worked with, while I was doing my master's, I had an opportunity to work with a team of teachers and researchers from the European Center for Modern Languages. And like that was a blast because I had to like develop this whole program for like this approach. And I think it just, as I moved along, it just sort of, how would I say that? Not just grew on me, but I think I got to see it like in a different way. The impact that I was having like with the kids, and it just became my thing, Yeah.
Okay, we're at the halfway point. I just want to remind you, those of you viewing, and don't forget to share the link. If you came in late, it's okay. This stays on forever. It doesn't ever get off my Facebook. The show will always be on there. You can always start watching it from the beginning again. You could also catch it on YouTube because I do import all of the contents of the show to YouTube and eventually to my website. That's jaeljoseph.com. Don't forget to share the show, tag a friend, show some love throughout. Get into to more, or getting to know more about Zephrine. Zephrine, you kind of sort of suddenly went to film. What, I mean, from it's kind of I mean, as much as you've reiterated that your love for storytelling, but not very frequently do you find people who are educators. Usually, they stick along those lines. You know, they because we look at film as more of the art of the schooling. You know what I mean? Why did you decide to go into film?
I think it's much less sudden than people might think. I do understand looking at it from the outside, and people from my my entourage have told me, like, you did a PhD, why are you like doing making films now? And it's not as strange as it might seem. The link to storytelling is always there, and the link to education is always there. For me, I think I was in filmmaking for a while before people actually realized that I was doing it. I was working with Stephanie Saxena, who is the director, from 2015. Like, we were traveling and we would make short films, and eventually we started putting it out, and that's when like people started seeing like really what was like what we were doing. So they started becoming aware that okay, like you're doing film, etc. It's a bit strange, but for me, it's not really, because when I was growing up, there was one thing that I remember like really clearly about from being at school was the Caribbean stories in my English language books. I loved the parts. Like, I would page through the textbooks to get to the parts where you had like the excerpts, the from like Caribbean authors, and I fell in love with the stories that I was reading. And when I read, from people like Jamaica Kincaid, and it was me, they were my stories, the things that they were describing. I loved all stories. I would like read all books, but the Caribbean stories, they just brought something like, it's like when you hear a drum beating, like a Lapogabu drum.
Yes.
There's something that you cannot like explain. It's just
it has come from the tip of your toe.
Whether you think you can dance or you cannot dance or whatever, there's something that just like, like inside of me. That's what the Caribbean stories like. They were for me. Like when I read them, I'll be like in this place that would be, and I think there's a desire. I have this desire to tell the stories that we have in the Caribbean, to bring them to life, and that's they be seen also, just like we see stories from all other places. And I don't think it's as strange or as isolated from one world from the other as people may think it is. And I think that right now we don't have the. I think it's a luxury to do one thing, just one thing. Like I'm like just an educator. I don't think anybody's ever one thing. People are always doing several things. You may not see it. May not be in a public space, but it's there. And some people it might be when they finish their job in accounting, maybe every evening they go and they dance somewhere, and they might never put on a public show in a public space, but it's there. In this case, yes, we're showing the films. It's but it's not as far removed, I think, as people may think. One world from the other.
How hard or easy was it for you to transition, or for you to get into film?
No effort at all. No effort at all, because when I started doing it like very naturally. Stephanie had a camera. She was making films, and she would ask me sometimes like let's go do this. I'm like, okay, let's go. We were working on a project because it's something that we're passionate about, and you're not thinking of. There's no rigid frame around what it is that you're doing. You're just doing because there's something that's driving you to tell a story or to bring something to life, or you know. So I don't feel this like transition space because it just like came naturally. It was because we do documentary filmmaking. It's not like I don't know, like I had to transition to a space where I went into fiction. And even if I did that, I'm not sure that it would be no. It was just a smooth thing. There was no effort. Maybe if you're thinking of like, okay, and maybe I'm getting into an area that you want to ask a question on in terms of like, okay, so if you
I want to know what films you've done. Like I think that's where I probably would go with that, because I can almost see your thoughts and you're thinking about the films that you've created and where your storytelling would align with it. What sort of films have you guys created?
we're doing okay. So the two we do okay. So Stephen and I we have a company called Creative Sun Films, and it's a film production company. We do impact films, so we do films on issues that we care about, and that can through the impact that these films have, they can bring about positive change in society. And we also do documentary films, so independent documentary films. Of the films, let me see. There's Life Edge. This was a film that we shot in Dominica, a short film on an artist, a woodworker from Dominica. It was in very recently in the film festival in Antigua, One Film Festival, Women of the Lens Film Festival in last year in London, and that was a film that we really enjoyed doing. It was amazing. The person with whom we shot the film, Keith Clifton, he was absolutely amazing. And we also shot another short called Sheehan with Shanna Robin, who you must know. That was also an amazing experience, and this short was also in the Film Festival in Antigua in November. And after that, we did Yol. That was another short in Martinique, and our last film is called The Sea Between Us, and we did this film just before and after Hurricane Maria. So it traces the journey of a small group of people who try to get in contact. They desperately try to get in contact with Dominica right after Maria, and they travel by fishing boats, trying to establish contact with the island. Yeah.
Okay, so you seem to focus a lot of your films on the life of people, or
Definitely.
somewhat their biography. Why do you specifically pick those sort of films or those sort of genres?
I think the reason why our stories or the films that we make, they're really character based. It's character based storytelling driven by the stories of Caribbean people, because we don't see these stories often on screen. Um, we don't see when we see them, they're told through the eyes, very often they're told through the eyes of outsiders who have the means and who come and they tell a story, the story that they see, that they think they see. And then they tell it back to us. And we want to tell our own stories.
Yeah,
we want to tell the stories that are diverse, because we have like so many stories that can be told, but it's very limited. Like what we do see on Caribbean stories is very limited. So
yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, and I hope nobody probably misinterpret what you're saying in terms of we want to be able to tell our own stories. and how I understand it, and just correct me if I'm wrong, is that a lot of times when people tell our stories in their minds, they might see, for example, looking at me, and they might see my role as probably a media person in Dominica. And that might be what they want to feature. But there's so much more that goes beyond me just being a media person, because I don't even consider myself to be a media person. But that's just what they might see and might want to tell. So your role as a storyteller, or in terms of a filmmaker, is to tap into probably my life growing up in big house, and and how I grew up with my parents and stuff, and what probably brought me to where I am. Yes, as a media person, but as a wholesome person, so to speak. Am I wrong? Is that what you're?
No, you're not wrong. What we're trying to say is, I've seen films that are portrayed in festivals. I've actually in one festival that we went to, just left the theater because I think it was a film that was shot in South America, and the way the story is told, it made me feel so profoundly uncomfortable, because I could relate as a person, like as a Caribbean person. I could tell that the way that the person is looking at me, it's not what do you say? It's not a look. Shit, man. The word is coming in French right now.
I know.
That is not how I want to be seen. If my story will be told, and when I say my story, it's not just my life story. It's any story. Like when you look at documentaries on Netflix or on any platform online, just documentaries are made in North America, they're made in Europe or wherever. They don't just tell people stories. A documentary can be any part of a reality. So stories told in the Caribbean can be that too. They're also that, because people in the Caribbean, we're not like these paradisiac places where, it's all nice, and every time you see an image from the Caribbean, there's like a little reggae music that accompanies it. Or it's like all disastrous. Like all these poor little islands, they've been, wiped out by something, or you see what I'm saying?
I get it.
In between there, they're just normal people living lives that are full and rich, and with, myriads of stories that can be told, but we never see them. Like, we never see the richness and the subtleties of, the layers that all Caribbean people have in their lives, because it's always portrayed. Not always, let's not be. Often, very often.
But the ones that make it big,
you see what I'm saying,
are the ones that highlight the stuff that is not just what we encompass. It's not all of us. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So I get what you're saying. We have love stories. We have all of these different things that can come out from us. It's not just what you choose. That would cause a controversy and probably make you the best film or the film of the year.
Yeah. I think it all has the merit of existing, whether it's in fiction or documentary, or we do documentary film making. But for Caribbean filmmaking on a whole, it all has the merit of being, whether it's fiction or documentary. And if it's in documentary, the all different styles, whether it's journalistic, investigative, cinema du réel, whatever kind of documentary it is, or whatever kind of story that you can possibly tell, it has the merit of being.
Yes.
I think that we as Caribbean, right now in America, we hear, in North America, and particularly in the United States, we hear a lot of talk of, how much Black people need to see themselves on screen, and they need to see themselves represented, and they need to see themselves in these different roles, and so that it becomes a reality for the people looking at it, that, it's possible, and, and it's important that in the same way that we would hear these stories as children, all the different stories our parents told us, and these imaginary things, they came to life in our heads and they took some real form for us, and that's why they're so ingrained into our psyche and into our memories and what composes our imaginary landscape in Dominica. I think it's all just as important to actually see the diversity of stories or Caribbean stories on screen.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Like you're talking, and I'm thinking of all of these different things. And a lot of times we see, we could take, for example, a film as probably somebody can recall right off the bat, Black Panther, for example. You know, I mean, this black film producer was given an opportunity, and I love the fact that he embraced it, and he showed what he wanted, at least for the most part, what he wanted to be a representation of what story Black Panther should encompass, and not what the rest of the world would assume. And when I say the rest of the world, to be a little harsh, the white world. A lot of stories are told by white people, and not necessarily about white people, because they do tell black stories as well. But I I can appreciate that you would want to tell the story because you can give it from a perspective of a black person. Like you can understand our culture, or the culture, better, because you would have more of an appreciation, and you would not think that we talking about Sukuyan or Lajables is like a folk thing, but we actually believe that these things existed. Growing up as kids, to us it was very real, and someone else telling that story might come across as it's a myth, and I don't want to be told it's a myth. This is something that I enjoyed as a child. Let that remain real to me. And I like the fact that you want to tell our stories, our Caribbean people's stories, from a Caribbean point of view, and not from someone else looking in. That's how I
Yes.
understand it.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely. I think there's no better person to tell your story than you.
Very true. If you had an opportunity to work with someone famous, who would you want to work with?
Oh my God. There's so many people. Wait, filmmaking or like
Doesn't matter. Go anywhere you want to go with this.
Honestly, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I think there are like quite a number of people that I would like to work with.
Throw some names out there. You never know, they might be watching.
I think in filmmaking, there's one person that we, as a team, we look at her and we're like, lower podcasts. The producer who made the filmmaker who made not producer director who made Citizen 4 on Edward Snowden, that movie. Oh, she's an amazing filmmaker. Amazing filmmaker. I think having an opportunity to work with her, that would be like, that'd be amazing. Yeah. So I think maybe in writing, Jamaica Kincaid. Oh my God. Oh yes. I think Jamaica Kincaid speaks like my soul.
Wow.
I just love like her writing. It's yeah.
What do you think about the how the film industry is recognized in the Caribbean?
How do I think that the film industry
How
is?
do you feel it's recognized? What do you think of it in terms of how us as a people look at the film industry in the Caribbean?
That's a tough question.
Sorry.
Why, no. Why is it a tough question? I think it's because I think for a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people even think of the film industry in the Caribbean, apart from maybe professionals in the field. Um, I think for a lot of people, when they think of film industry, they think of the Hollywood. So not Caribbean at all, you know. The people are happy when they have like a couple of films from the Caribbean, but they don't look to the Caribbean as like a source, like the place where films are going to emerge, you know. I think as professionals in the film industry, we are a bit isolated in the sense that, in terms of like network, I do think that we lack some, you know,
What do you,
that we do lack.
what do you think can change that or help um, sort of bring some more spotlight or light on the industry?
You get to like you get to the hard question part. um, then there are quite a number of things I think that can like help bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty of building like a Caribbean film industry is linked to the fact that we're like, you know, islands. Um, I do think that we can have more collaboration between the islands and more open access to smaller, more independent filmmakers. Because I think access is more the things that do exist, like a couple of festivals and maybe when there are events that are of interest or even funding opportunities for filmmakers. Smaller independent filmmakers, they don't necessarily have access or the knowledge that it exists. So maybe opening access to those things, I think, is a start. And I think something that's more structured, you know, something that's more structured and more structured, regular, that can bring these professionals together.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we always go back to education. I do think that including, you know, cinema in schools, it deja like already this it connects young people, children to like film the world of cinema and the film industry in a different way, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good place to start. That it be included in as part of the arts in the syllabus.
Yes. This at this point, guys, if you have any questions for Zephrine, you could throw it out there. We'll ask. We'll
Don't ask me. I have questions.
you have questions? We'll throw out the questions as they come. If no questions, we'll just continue throwing because I can probably talk forever. But we'll.
Oh, there was one thing that I wanted to add. When you asked me about the films that we're making, how could I forget? We actually have a film that we're working on right now. It's in development, and we actually the project was selected by the Tribeca Film Institute and ITFA, the biggest documentary film festival in the world, and Riot Films, and we're going to present the project in Amsterdam in like 2 weeks. So we're going to pitch. So the project was selected as part of a global pitch. We're really excited about that. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the latest, like one of the latest projects that we're working on.
Wow. How does that make you feel knowing that you your film, there's a possibility that your idea would be one day or may one day on the big screen?
Pretty amazing. I think more than it being on big screen, I think it's the fact that the project was even selected. The theme of the pitch was climate change. And out of the 80 something submissions that they got from around the world, they only selected 6 projects. And ours was the only one from the Caribbean. And for me, that was like huge because for us, it's like they saw something in the story and they heard something that's, you know, made them select this project. So for us, it's like, it's more about, more than just the story being on the big screen, it's about taking it to a place where you have like deciders and like, you know, major persons in the industry and documentary filmmaking and having conversations with them and, you know, also opening possibly other opportunities for other independent filmmakers from the Caribbean.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
We're really happy about that.
Congratulations to you. You also, you've been very much involved with, when I say literacy, in terms of the Creole language and languages. As an educator, I don't know, growing up, I just kind of, my father was, I could call him an educator as well, because he was a teacher, he was a principal, but my father did not like the Creole language and did not like it being spoken. It seemed like he never allowed it in the house, so to speak. As much as we would speak, when my great grandmother came to live with us, he didn't. It was not one of the things that he favored. You, as an educator, have decided to that you want to promote languages in the schools, in everyday life. Why did you decide to get into that? And tell us a little bit about your journey to promoting, especially the Creole language.
Well, I grew up in Margaret, where people speak Cacoa, and my grandmother is from Vegas, so she spoke Creole. And she spoke Creole to us, but we didn't speak Creole back to her. At school, we were not allowed to speak neither Creole nor Cacoa, and God forbid if you spoke Dominican English. Yes, they always said like our official language, and they would even say our mother language is English. But nobody spoke English around me. Everybody spoke Dominican English, and a lot of people spoke Cacoa or Creole. When I moved to, but I couldn't speak Cacoa because it was considered like some lower form of language. Like as if you spoke Cacoa, you were not as intelligent if you spoke like proper English. When I moved to Martinique, it was a whole other experience. I had grown up like hearing Creole all the time, and I forced myself to like, understand Creole because I wanted to hear what my grandmother would be saying when she would be gossiping with her friends. But I didn't speak. I couldn't like hold a conversation in Creole at all. And when I got to Martinique, it was like, you know, quite sort of like a shock for me because people were speaking Creole all the time. And like friends that I had, like in their families, they just had conversations in Creole. And I thought like, my God, that's amazing. Like these people just talking Creole normally. And at home, like I feel like less and less people spoke Creole. And the people who were my age, they would like say a couple of the expressions in Creole, but nobody's having like a conversation in Creole. And I could sense that slowly there's something that's, you know, was being lost and that it is being lost. And when I looked at Kokoi, it was another shock because I discovered that at the university there was a class on Kokoi that was being done by a professor from the UK who was living in Martinique and who was studying Kokoi and who was actually there was a course on Kokoi. And I was like, look at that. People are like coming from wherever, studying Kokoi. And like, I grew up in this community where people spoke Kokoi, etc. And it's like, I'm not studying it.
No, you want to
I'm specializing in languages.
Dinner.
Yeah, it's the same idea of why there's somebody is telling your story, you know? And I really had this feeling of there's something that's being lost and I can do something. I can do something because I'm a researcher I specialize in languages, and this is what I want to do. I want to contribute in some way to preserving the languages that we have in Dominica and to documenting them. So I don't know where, like, what will happen if, languages, they come into existence and they go extinct. And maybe that will happen, but at least maybe somehow I would have contributed to, like, documentation on the Creole and Cacoa languages of Dominica.
So
through film, not only written research, but through film also.
Okay.
See the link?
Yeah, I see the link.
Yes.
It's like everywhere. So you're
like,
three things that you're passionate about just come together.
Yep.
They link up very nicely, and all of them work well with each other. You recently visited Dominica. There was a workshop, and you guys sort of was closing off. You had a closing ceremony, and of course, a lot of people did not know about it. A lot of people did know, but quite a few people didn't know. Tell us a little bit about your collaboration with the University of the West Indies that as it relates to the Creole language and integrating languages into, or at least into our curriculum somewhat in Dominica.
Well, what happened? So that was it was the Creole Country Conference 2019, and so that had been organized by the University of the West Indies with Kimon Joseph and Violet Coffey, who's at the University of Bedfordshire. I hope I'm not saying that like wrong, probably pronouncing it wrongly, but they were responsible for this very big Creole project along with the Comité Poétique Creole in Dominica. And I had that research project had been going on for, I think, a couple of years. And the conference was sort of like closing off the project. Mm-hmm. So we had people from, I was just participating in the conference. So there were people from Martinique, from Guadeloupe, from Seychelles, from the US, from different places, presenting papers on Creole at the conference. And but they were also like practitioners and persons from the media and persons from the tourism industry who came together to like discuss Creole in each of these like different sectors and also in education. So it was really a very, very rich event because we had these work groups of persons discussing what is Creole. Creole is broad sense, a broad definition. So it encompasses like French-based Creole and like Cacoa, what it means for Dominica as why the terms coming in French right now. Intangible cultural heritage. Sorry, for us, intangible cultural heritage and where are we going? How do we move forward? How do we preserve this heritage that we have in media, in tourism, in education? Yeah. So that was what this whole conference was about, and it was really a very enriching conference. At the end of the conference, just to close everything, we planted a tree in the garden at UWI to symbolize this new beginning, and yeah.
Well, I really hope I feel so fortunate to know the Creole language, to know Creole, to be able to speak Creole. I mean, even now and again, I stumble on words and stuff because I've been so English-sized that I kind of stumble on words. And I remember, telling my cousins, hey, you all kind of forget this. You have to speak it and you have to talk to your kids and let your kids know it's important that they know the language because it will get lost if you don't continuously speak it. Because recently I know like islands like Saint Lucia, they've created the dictionary, the Creole dictionary.
Yes.
I remember one of my cousins, her husband, who is from Trinidad, he's actually from Tobago. He learned to speak Creole from the dictionary. He would go in, and every time he would hear her say something, especially still on the phone to her, talking to her friend, and see what she mean by that, And I think it was more out of curiosity to know if she's talking about him. But he eventually he can understand, not so much speak it, but he can understand the language. And I have friends that I know, like white friends that know how to speak Creole because they're so interested in learning it. And here we are, having kids or having relatives who don't even know our language. We have people I like to call it my Jean friends who don't even know how to speak it, let alone they don't even know how to understand, let alone speak it. And I think we need to really step our game up and say, hello, this is gonna get lost. And don't want it's part more than anything else, it's part of your heritage, it's part of your culture, it's part of what made you a Dominican. Like we need to embrace that. And kudos to the University of the West Indies and all of the other groups who have taken up the mantle and decided. One of these days, I hope that I could see Creole taught in a major university. That would be something, like the Creole, because I could be like, I can speak it. And even like when I would communicate, like when I moved to Canada, when I would communicate with my friends and my cousins in Dominica, via MSN, because those days a lot of times you use public computers, and I would in Creole. I mean, I would just be making up the words based on how they sound, but we understood each other, and nobody else around us was getting it because nobody knew what we were talking about, and it was so cool. And I hope that I could pass it on to my kids, and I hope that anybody who's actually listening right now probably even knows a little bit about it, would want to know more. And if you know a lot, you want to teach somebody, to keep the language strong. And kudos to you and your team and all of you for that initiative with you and the rest of the associations that are part of it. Hopefully one day we'll have books, not just a dictionary, but books, in
like storybooks in Creole, they're just like normal. This stuff has been done, and I think what we want to see is that it moves from this, like the cultural thing, like it's this nice thing that we do around Independence time where we focus on like speaking Creole or whatever. No, people, you talk Creole all the time, like it's part of you. It's a part of you that. And when I did like research on Creole, I did research in like schools all over Dominica with the teachers and the principals, and a lot of the teachers who were telling me they don't want their kids to speak Dominican English, and and they're supposed to speak standard English in class, etc. The teachers themselves, like when they were in interviews, they would speak Dominican English and they would mix like standard English, Dominican English, Creole. It's because this is our identity, And yes, it's important that you have the capacity to in this setting that you can just have a conversation in standard English and that you can present or you can have a discourse or whatever, a speech. But you also have to preserve this plurality of that makes you who you are, and it cannot be limited to English because it's not in our brain, not in our setup, not in how we express ourselves.
I think colonization has a major part to play with that, because like living in Canada where you see all of these different ethnicities, they come and they speak their language, their kids speak their language, but their kids are still able to perform in school speaking English and French plus their language. And here we are in our small islands. We think that not that stopping someone from learning to speak Creole or speaking Creole would prevent them from learning in school. It's almost like we're not willing to stretch our brains or stretch our kids' brains and know that, hello, they will be able to take on all of it. It actually gives your brain, like, because your brain is stretched now, it works out, all the muscles work, they can take in more because now they're able to absorb something that is completely different from what they're learning in school. So I think we really need to take this seriously and stop with that mentality that just because we think that speaking proper English in school is going to be what will allow our kids to learn or to do better in school. That is totally not the case.
It's not.
So,
It's quite the contrary. It's really quite the contrary. Unfortunately, a lot of people still have this idea that, yes, if they speak Creole, then it's going to prevent them from speaking English, or it's going to prevent them from learning other languages. It's like just like the complete like opposites. The more languages the kids speak, the more languages they will speak. Because, this is how bilingualism operates. And if you look at certain countries on the African continent, you have places where the kids like they speak like 8, 10, 15 languages because there are that many languages spoken by a community, and they have absolutely no problem switching from one language to the next because they grew up that way. The more you try to force a language out, to where we're in an environment where it still exists. It's not like you remove a child from an environment and move them to a place where it's predominantly this language and they're not hearing the other language anymore. That works very well. This kind of subtractive bilingualism, it works perfectly. But when you're in a place where people still speak the language around you, but you're saying you cannot speak this language, that you shouldn't. So if you do, then, and when I say language, I'm also talking about variety, like Dominican English. Like, it prevents you from you're trying to limit something that's very natural, and because you're doing that, you're losing something else. You're losing out on the child's capacity to actually learn in a very different way from what you think and how you're thinking that they should learn.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that we can see these languages move from this sphere where there's like stigma hanging over them to, and even people who say like, no, I do think that Creole should be taught, but we should still be careful. there's always a but, it's like, it's still not on par with, others. So
we're just gonna take some contributions from some folks. Jean-Marie said, teaching is the greatest profession. I've done it all my life. So I guess he's showing appreciation to the fact that you are an educator. And Melinda says, that was an amazing project, referring to what you did with Yui, put on by Yui, and your contribution was so great.
It was amazing.
I wanna talk briefly about you as a Black woman with natural hair. What sort of response do you get? I embrace my natural hair a few years ago, but I still kind of mix it up and do all sorts of stuff with it. But you wear yours so loud and proud. For the little girls out there who might think, because I thought about my hair so much, when I decided to go back to school. I decided that I wanted to grow out my hair because in my mind, where I felt that I was leading, I would not be accepted with. So you get where I'm going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here you are, this educator, a filmmaker, writer. You have your beautiful natural hair. You're pretty natural, so to speak. Tell us a little bit about what got you to that place where you feel so confident about rocking your hair. And I just want you to give me your views, somewhat as a message to young Black girls out there who might be wondering about their hair still, and they're still using factory.
I cannot say that. I guess, okay. If there was any process, it would be like just me being like, hey, I'm done with that. That thing of like doing, like relaxing here or whatever. It's like so natural. Why am I even doing this? I'm going back to natural. Because how I actually came to like the point of relaxing my hair, that was like high school. I always combed my own hair. My grandmother, she would put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what they call puff plaits. in Dominica. Yes. So she put like 5 puff plaits in my hair to go to school. And then like when I got to like maybe 10 years, I was like, them puff plaits ugly. Let me comb my own hair. So I started combing my own hair. So I learned how to do like my cornrows by myself, etc. And I think I always liked combing my hair. I'll do like my little plaits, unplait them. I'll beg people in my family for me to comb their hair. And maybe one day I came from school and Sylvie, her bigger sister was relaxing her hair. And they said, "You want to do your hair?" I said, "Okay."
You get
no, I had no reflection on like whether my hair should be this or that. I just came out of it with relaxed hair. I hated it because like when I did this on my head, my fingers went like boom. It was such a disagreeable feeling. It felt like I was naked. I hated it. So like I kept the relaxed hair maybe like a year or something like that, but I kept like chopping it. And eventually I just got tired of it. Because I was like, you're gonna relax your hair, then it's burning your scalp. There's something so unnatural about the whole process. So I was like, not to be rude or vulgar, like fuck that. I'm done. And then so I went back to just like chop everything and just leave my natural hair. I was like, oh, never have to think of my hair because it's just in my hair on my head, But I must say that I think growing up as a child, you are made aware of the vibrant nature of your hair by people around you because when they would comb my hair, they'd be like, oh, your hair's so thick, it's breaking the comb, like as if your hair was like this uncontrollable whole thing. So I did grow up thinking like my hair is so thick. Keep thick. I don't have thick hair. My hair is like a black person here. It's pretty, nothing crazy about the hair quite. So I think I just love combing my hair and I would take care of it. It seems bizarre to me to do anything else,
I get what you're saying.
And I think that for young girls, I would tell them, let your hair be itself because your hair is you and it's part of you. So you have to let it be, explore it, play with it, try different things, just like you would with everything else, like just like you do with like your skin, just like you do with your body and the things that you eat, etc. Do this with your hair, let it live because it is a living thing. Let it live. Eventually you will find what is the right thing for you with your hair. And for some people, it's always like with braids or with cornrows.
I hope I get to that point because for me, having my head, because I wore my head bald for years. Like I did colors and everything, and having my head shaved, like low flat, was probably the best hair moments I've ever had because it required so little.
I said I feel you because mine was bald too. Like, this is like the when you have no hair on your head, it's the best.
It is the best feeling ever. And for me, I think as a Black woman, I felt my hair as like would hold me back. When I say hold me back, not in terms of progress, but in terms of time, like I have to take so much time to twist at night. And like, even when my hair is the length it is, like right now it's up to like hair, and I have to like, twist it and put conditioner and then put a silk wrap and all. And I'm like, oh my God, it's taking so much time. I could be like doing an assignment. I could be doing a proposal for something. And for me, that's how I've always looked at my hair, which is why I wear braids. Like people might be saying I'm to change my style because I'm just like, if it's braided, I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to worry about it. It's either that or it's going back to being flat because it's driving me nuts. So I can appreciate that when you say, let it just do its own thing, because probably I should just leave it and let it just do it.
Jael, letting your hair be, for me, it doesn't necessarily mean like having long hair. I had my hair completely bald, like bald, for maybe like 2 years. I was doing my thesis, and I just did not have the headspace to like wake up and comb hair, and it was just like it's gone. It was like freedom.
People
Um,
have no
for
idea.
me, but it was still like my natural hair, because for me, your hair is your power. Like hair is like strength for me. It's like when you know like you have healthy nails, it's a sign of like vitality. There's strength in your hair. So whether it's like short or whether it's long, it's let it be. You know, you express yourself through it, yes, but it's more than that for me. It's you know, and I think like I went through like I cut my hair, I had a mohawk, it was red, it was pink, it was orange, it was like all sorts of colors. The kids at school would like laugh at me. Like I was teaching at one point, my hair was like it was a mess. It was like a big thing of like pink cotton candy. The kids would like laugh so much. Yes, but I would just like do stuff with it. I would like dye it one time, then I'd cut it, then I'd do like another style and whatever. But I was having fun with my hair. I did not feel like it was something that I had to like tame or make like flat or like handle, you know. Uh, yeah, I felt like it was part of, I don't know, it was an intrinsic part of me being me, you know. I
Yeah.
would, yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to touch on that, the fact that you're natural hair. It's somewhat off topic, but we can have a
Yeah, but it never, you know, like being in any forum, any situation, any context, it's always a strength for me. Like if I have to go to pitch somewhere, I'm like gonna do like if somebody had their relaxed hair, they would probably do a chignon or something. I'm gonna do like a friggin' power chignon with my natural hair. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. So like when I get up there, I feel like, oh yeah, this is me.
yeah.
You get all of me.
Yeah, bring it. So you mentioned in our discussion that you're going to be heading to Amsterdam in the next 2 weeks. What's next for Zephrine besides
What's next? Like so many things. We're finishing, no, seriously, we're finishing a short. We're finishing an impact film right now. We're working on 2 shorts film right now and a feature film. I'll be starting a research project soon and participating also in a couple of conferences coming up in the first half of 2020. That's like in the immediate like future coming up, like the next few months. It's like looming big ahead. Yes. If that's what you're talking about, like right now.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Wishing you all the best in that. I'm almost kind of like, should I talk about kids, family life, anything like that? Because you seem so busy.
Ah, um, there are no kids. I don't think there will be any in the near to medium, like upcoming future. But maybe who knows? Never know. But I don't see it happening right now. I say that at the same time, I am like if like a kid does come and like I do think that there's a ton that you can do, like even as you have a kid. Yes, you have like the space and like time. You do everything. If you have a kid, you're gonna balance it off, and you're gonna bring your kid along with you on shoots.
Yes.
When you're a teacher, sometimes you bring them with you to school and they learn to be a certain way because they're in a certain context and mommy's working and so yeah. But I have kids, so maybe one of those days might happen.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so very much for taking time out to speak with me, to speak to my viewers about your life in terms of what you've been up to and what you're gonna be. I want to encourage folks, if you want to stay in touch with Zephrine, by all means, in terms of following her, seeing what's happening, see what happens with her project. That she's going to be pitching in 2 weeks. And it's always nice to say, I knew that person. Especially when, like, I have a friend who I met when I newly moved to Canada. She's African. Her name is Zanel. She's also a writer, and she wrote. She's one of three writers for a major production in Africa, for a film. It's called. I'm gonna probably mess up. It's called Afalahaki. I think that's how it's pronounced. The tribal series that's on like a major network out there. And when I think of Zanelle, I'm like, oh, I knew Zoe. It's like you feel so good. You like, I know who the person is. And look at she's out there.
And you're happy for her.
Yes,
you're happy that this person, like from where you knew them, and like they were doing their thing then, and like you see something happening for them. Definitely, I totally feel you, and there's something that I would like, and that I know that Stephanie would like, is to have like collaboration with other filmmakers in the Caribbean. That we have like this really vibrant film community, even if we have this distance between islands, but when you look at continents like Europe or North America or whatever, the distance is like,
doesn't bother.
It's happening. So
travel to do their films.
Yeah. So
came to Dominica to do Pirates of the Caribbean, and there was like very little of except what the nature of Dominica, but there's very little of us, in it, So
yeah.
At the end of the day,
for us in the not too distant future, we're really looking to build also or contribute more so, because it's not like it's inexistent. Contribute to building this this network of filmmakers in the Caribbean, and contributing to the film industry, particularly the documentary film industry in the Caribbean.
Yeah. So I want to encourage folks. All her social media handles are on the link. So it's either, depends on where you're looking. If you're looking on a phone, it might be above. If you're looking on a computer, it might be below, or vice versa. All of the handles are there. You can always click on the links, and you can follow her. Her website is there. Her Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything is on there. You can follow her and see what happens. And it's always good to say, oh, I know when that person was planning on doing this. You feel so good.
If you want to follow us for like things specific to filmmaking, definitely follow Creative Sun Films.
Yes.
That's where you're going to see like our behind the scenes and all the news and the films and everything.
Zephrine, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jael. It's really fun being on with you. Thanks a lot.
I could have probably continued. I had like 15 more questions. But
I'm sure you did.
But time is of the essence, and I know you have such a busy schedule with all of the things that you're doing, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share your story, and I hope that somebody's life would have been impacted, and somebody. One of the things that I got out of this is that you should never limit yourself. We should stop with that tunnel kind of thinking. There's something happening on the other side or out of what because you've linked education with being bilingual, with being a filmmaker, and they work so well for you, and you seem to be happy. At least that's what you project, that you're absolutely happy, you're passionate about what you do. And I hope that young people who are viewing this can feel the same way, because you probably went to school for biology doesn't mean that you can't go out there and do hair. Because you could.
I did sciences
kind of product.
Hair.
I just throwing that out there. Don't limit yourself. Thank you very much, Zephrine.
Thank you so much, Jael.
I really appreciate it. And I just want to thank all of you for viewing, all of those of you who came on, those of you who've shared, who will continue to share. Make sure you keep sharing the link. We want people to know. If you missed it, don't worry. It'll be uploaded on YouTube in a couple of days, hopefully. I'll try to do it in like 24 hours like I normally do. But it should be up in a few days on YouTube. Also on my website. That's jaeljoseph.com. Also, for those of you looking for sweatshirts and paraphernalia stuff from Cacoa, DM me directly. Yes, 1 time, 2 times. Thank you so very much for tuning in to all of you. And Thanks for the love.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be back next week. Yes, next week we got a show for you. We have molecular geneticist will be on with me next week. Yo, them people, all you not easy, now all doing some kind of big things, and she's a woman. Gonna be on next week. Big up. Thanks again, Zephrine. Until next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.